Commissioner Villa-Vasquez.
We're going to do workshop to review proposed annual budget for fiscal year 2024-25. Mr. Whitcomb.
Mayor, real quick, I'd like to just acknowledge the fact that the presentation does not include anything for solid waste. There's no presentation.
I believe Mr. Whitcomb is going to address that because I believe it came up yesterday.
Solid waste was in with code compliance last night in the slides. Yep. They did talk briefly about it.
We'll go back and look.
Okay, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commission, good evening. I'm going to take this jacket off. I was cold a while ago, but now I'm warming up. Let me get this up on the screen. Can the guys in the back get it up on the screen for us, the PowerPoint presentation?
Ruben.
Lena Rubin or Catherine, can you help with the PowerPoint? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. The first session we're going to do is Public Works. Just to talk briefly about Public Works, there's 5 divisions in Public Works: traffic operations, engineering, Public Works field ops, Public Works administration, and fleet maintenance. The department function, can y'all hear me? Sorry. The department function is responsible for the design, construction, and maintenance of the city's road and stormwater drainage systems. The department also handles fleet and equipment maintenance, sidewalk construction, vegetation control. So like if they have trees growing over the sidewalks and things like that. Also, we take care of the engineering divisions underneath Public Works, which oversees all the city's capital improvement projects. And then the department's work program is supported by the County of Volusia, which provides our mosquito control and traffic signal maintenance. I'm not going to read any more of that. Y'all can read that at your leisure. Our department mission and statement: Public Works Department mission is to support and enhance a high quality of life for the city residents, businesses, and visitors by providing well-planned, environmentally sensitive, cost-effective infrastructure and services to promote public health, personal safety, transportation, economic growth, and civic vitality. Some of the accomplishments from 23-24 are ADA mats. We put in the neighborhood of 150 to 200 ADA mats this past year. One of the other accomplishments, is evaluate and replace sign infrastructure with updated reflectivity. Those of you that don't know, we have a sign shop at Public Works, and we have a crew that goes out and they can check the reflectivity on stop signs, street signs, any type of sign, so that we keep those in compliance. In that sign shop, we fabricate our own signs. We order the sign blanks, but we actually fabricate the signs. I think we did a video on one of the city manager reports a while back that highlighted that. We also enhance the striping throughout the city. What that means is your crossbars, your stop signs, where your stop signs are, the white line that goes across there, those kind of things. The department also manages the sidewalk program with funding that's available in the transportation fund. Removed and replaced 27,000 square feet of damaged sidewalks on Elkham Boulevard. And then, as you noticed, that we had new sidewalk put in along that area there between the lakes. That was not replaced due to flooding. That was replaced due to, it was asphalt, part of it was asphalt sidewalk, and it was crumbling and everything else. So we went ahead, when the contractor put that in, they put it, filled some dirt in at a higher elevation to keep the water from coming back across it. Am I talking too fast? Sorry. We talked about the ADA mats a while ago and the accomplishments. Now we're talking about goals for 24-25. We'll continue putting ADA mats and other improvements with the sidewalks. We'll continue to evaluate and replace sign infrastructure and updated reflectivity. Continue to enhance striping throughout the city. We'll continue to manage the sidewalk program with funding that becomes available through the Transportation Fund, and continue to manage the roadway resurfacing with funding in the Transportation Fund also. The organizational chart, we do have some vacancies, vacant positions, a traffic technician, a public works technician and field ops. In engineering, we actually have a city engineer and assistant city engineer vacant. We filled the other two positions, the two project managers recently. So the capital projects project manager and the construction project manager. We reclassified one of the mechanics, or looking at reclassifying to EVT mechanic. And EVT is the emergency vehicle technician that works on your fire trucks, your ambulances, and things of that nature. Budget overview. There's an increase in the, hold on just one second. There's an increase in the operating line item of $394,000. And part of that is due to $250,000 of that is to do some work on our public works ops building, along with our sign shop. The floor in the sign shop needs to be replaced. The facing of the public works building needs some work done on it and repainted, along with putting a fence up. If any of you have been out there on Highland Boulevard near Walmart, you'll see we have a cell phone tower out there. It's not ours, but there's a tower out there, and we need to fence that area off. We use that for storage. That goes down to Festival Park, and we have some, need I say, riffraff down there sometimes. We got to fence that off and make it more secure. Okay. One-time operating expenses, which is included in this, and I just talked about the Public Works administration, maintenance and repairs to the Public Works building, et cetera. But also we have tough curb roadway delineators, and that is down there on Eustis Avenue across the road over here for those schools, Timbercrest and Galaxy Middle School. Motorists are going down making U-turns trying to get into the school, so we're looking at putting some delineators in, which was requested by the Sheriff's Department. And then fleet maintenance, air hydraulic replacement jack to lift large vehicles with. Also in engineering, cost center 415, replacement of engineering vehicle 50,000. Surface Pro computers for 6,000. A Smith Scarifier grinder, which is used for 6,000. That's used to grind down sidewalks. If you have a hump in the sidewalk or something, they use that to go down and grind that down. And then in fleet maintenance, a Hunter large tire changing machine replacement of 25,000. Now I'd like to go. Oops, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to step back. I'm used to not standing up here so much. I'd like to go through a few things more on that. Maybe it will answer. Next thing down is 524101 communications. It went up from $400 to $2,900, and that's Wi-Fi for the new tablets for this work order system. For this, they can be out in the field and they can get a work order on that tablet and be able to go take care of it instead of coming back to the office or getting a call on the radio. Street lighting, 524302, street lighting was 175,000. It's up to 195,000. That's due to an increase of adding a couple of street lights along with electricity costs, what it's costing us. 525202, tools and equipment. That's where those delineators are that I was talking about earlier. 525400, that's publications and training, and that covers our MOT training and any other kind of training they need for Public Works for that division. And then in engineering, under 415, professional services, 25,000 went up to 55,000. That's consultant fees and appraisals. If we need to buy any kind of property anywhere for any type of a project, that's what that money is used for. And then under 416, field ops, 524101. Communications, it went up from 3,000 to 7,000. Again, that's for the Wi-Fi for the tablets that we'll be using. 5201, fuel and oil. It was 40,000 going up to 50,000, and that's simply due to increase in pricing of fuel. And we hope the pricing will come down so we'll be able to save that money, but you never know with fuel, the volatility, especially in an election year. Then 525400, let's see, I skipped, didn't I? Sorry. 525301, road materials. It was in the budget the previous year for 49,000. We're asking for 59,000. There's an increase in concrete, along with other road materials. The next one under 416 field ops is 525400, and that's again training and publications, and that covers our MOT training and bucket truck training. Something new that we have is a bucket truck out there. We got to have the employees trained on those to be able to operate those safely. So lastly, on Public Works, well, not exactly lastly, but under 417, under admin, R&M building, that's where that $250,000 is. So it went from $15,700 to the $262,300, and that takes care of the building itself, and then the sign shop floor and the fence that I alluded to a while ago. 525102 is furniture and equipment. It went up from 1,000 to 2,000, and that's simply desks and chairs, et cetera. We're moving things around, trying to squeeze more people in the office there. And then lastly, under 417, Public Works Admin, 525203, janitorial supplies, from $4,800 to $6,000. That's also a increase in price, but also we want to try to make Public Works a little bit cleaner, so it takes a little bit more to do that. And then lastly, on Public Works, Division 419, fleet maintenance. It went up from $1,700 to $9,200, and that is to cover the cost of a new AC recovering machine, along with Freon. And that's pretty much it on the regular Public Works side.
Commissioner Villa-Vasquez, do you have any questions?
Yes, thank you. I just have a question with the lighting, Glenn. The flashing lights, I'm not sure if they're out, and I'm sorry if you can understand me. The flashing lights that were supposed to be put in the areas of the school crossing, is the city paying for that, or is it Board of Education, or is it DSO?
The traffic or the school zone lights,
Flashing lights?
That's the county.
That's the county. All right, thank you.
Vice Mayor, Commissioner Harriet, then Commissioner McCall.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor. Give me 1 second to get to the pages. I was not anticipating on going next. Just going back to the organizational chart, I wanted to make sure that by moving, reclassifying the one mechanic to the EVT mechanic, that we're not, that's not preventing him from working on other vehicles.
No, they're dual, working on both, either the ambulances, fire trucks, or other mechanical duties as needed.
Okay, and then that works. Appreciate that. The work order system, thank you for that clarification, because I've noticed that in other departments, and is that the same
Yes, there is split between the different departments.
that use that?
Depending on their base, yes.
That's outside of the Munis system?
Yes, this is brand new. The OpenGov is brand new. That was approved in the budget for this year, and we have started that process.
I know we did it, we use it for supposedly budgeting also, but
OpenGov is more for work order systems, let's say on the utility side, for example. I know we're not there yet, but let's talk about that in just a second. That is if you have pumps and motors and those types of panels and all in the water plants, and that would be that you would enter something into that work order system. After so many hours, it would spit out a work order telling you needed to grease that particular piece of equipment or whatever. So that's kind of what it's
does that also tie back into Munis, where we can you can issue purchase orders and
I don't know
allocate costs to different equipment?
I'll have to get back with you on that. I'm not as familiar with how this new system is working because I just got back over there from from City Hall, sorry. So I'm still diving into some of the stuff, but I will get back to you on that.
Okay, and then you had mentioned that the publications, memberships, and training had gone up, I believe, for MOT training. Is that annual? Is this increase going to be seen every year, or is it on an interval where it has to be done every 2 or 3 or 4 years?
It's probably every other year, but what happens is we've had a turnover in employees here and there, and we're trying to train the new employees that are coming in, plus you have research on MOT that you have to do every so often.
Perfect. And then I also wanted to note that the R&M equipment, I believe that went up a significant amount. Yeah, R&M equipment went up. It doesn't actually say because the budget shows for 5,000 or for 9,000 in this current budget, but from 23's budget it went up to from 5,200 to 9,000. Are all of those items, are those inventoried? Are those items that the city purchases
For
in
fleet
bulk?
maintenance, yes, it is. And then stormwater, we buy stock to be able to do emergency repairs, just like you would with the utility.
Okay. But it'd be inventoried by division, or
Yes.
by department division, not by countywide.
No, it'd be citywide.
Citywide,
I'm sorry. Yeah, it's by department.
Okay.
Some of the things are it depends on what the item is as far as inventory goes.
Okay.
But yes, and then we'll be able to, with the OpenGov, when we do a job or we do a repair or we do maintenance or whatever, right now we have a work order system, but this is going to replace that, and we'll be able to get a lot of information out of it and spit out things for purchase orders and all that kind of stuff.
Okay. On the fuel, is that fuel that is then allocated, how does the city purchase fuel? Do we purchase bulk fuel under contract and then allocate it out?
No, typically we have a WEX card, which is for fuel, but then also Public Works has diesel tank and gas tank, and we use those primarily in hurricane seasons, but we also use it to keep the fuel turned over from Public Works. So it's a combination of bulk from Lynch Oil along with the WEX purchases.
Would there be an opportunity for cost savings from going to the WEX system to a bulk fuel purchase and then allocations to the departments that use it, but having one fuel?
Well, we did look at that, and we didn't see, I think we looked at it when prior management was here, and we didn't see that big of a savings.
Okay. And then on Public Works Engineering, we've got AutoCAD licenses. It says one license for $8,000. Is that going to be an annual licensure expense, or is that just one time?
I think it's a one-time.
Okay.
Now, there is a license, renewal that you have to pay every year. But the reason it's so high is because, the deputy city engineer didn't have CAD. It was just the engineer did.
Perfect. I'm glad that we're getting the tools for our staff to do the job. You had mentioned that the increase in materials was based off of concrete.
Yes.
Is that based off of the increased cost of concrete, or
Increased cost of concrete.
Okay.
Yeah, and we go out to bid every year, and then they may extend a contract for a year, and, it goes out for maybe 1 year with 2 1-year renewals, and you know how that works.
I do. Then on field ops, there's under communications, it identifies city-issued cell phones for one person. For the on-call foreman is $1,200, and then a city phone allotments for a manager and a supervisor is $1,600. That seems like a pretty significant discrepancy. I don't know if that's a question for you or more of a question for IT, but why it costs so much more for one person's cell phone versus two.
Well, in the allotments, the managers are allotted, I think it's $50 a month, I believe, and then the other positions, it depends on what it is, the allotment's less.
Okay, so it's based off of allotments versus difference is the other one is actually getting the cell phone. The city purchases the cell phone.
Right.
So it's cheaper for us to allow for the allotment.
Yeah, in some cases, yeah.
Okay, thank you for that. And then we're getting close. And then you mentioned that the R&M for the building is for the Public Works warehouse, or administrative building.
Yes, sir. Along with the sign shop, the floor in the sign shop, and the additional fence to secure around the cell phone tower out there.
I don't remember which section in here in Public Works it was mentioned, but there was some new buildings, new lease space maybe, where shed space.
I know in Deltona Water, there was asking for a couple of sheds. I think it was $12,000 allotted for that.
Okay, and then
I don't think so in Public Works.
In Parks, there was some space, and then also in when we discussed this facility, there was also some shed space cost as well. Have we looked at what our space needs are, what we have available, to put together a plan so that we're not just parking sheds next to buildings? I'm all for giving operations what they need, but I just want to make sure that we're doing it in the most cost-effective way. And then I also think that there, with so many different line items, and I greatly appreciate the line items here, we'd greatly benefit from having a red line and a green line, where the red line shows the expenditures, the green line shows our revenue going up, and you can see if they're parallel, so we can just be fully transparent with the community. I think that transparency would actually make it easier for us to govern, and then it'd be really easy to see it with a red line and a green line if we could talk about that and maybe implementing that. And that's all I have for Public Works. I appreciate your presentation. It was very thorough, and you answered all the questions that I had marked down.
Thank you.
Commissioner McCool, then Vice Mayor Jody Lee.
Glenn, could you just, for budgetary reasons, could you tell me what the barriers are here for filling these positions for the engineer, assistant engineer, traffic engineer? I mean, is it a salary? Is it a benefit? Is it a pool thing?
It's a combination of a pool thing and also salary.
Okay.
It's just hard. I mean, I've talked to different consultants that we use. Of course, they're not going to tell you, they're not going to turn you on to an engineer because they're trying to hire them themselves. And then the private industry pays more for those positions.
What is that percentage, do you think, between what we're offering and how to fill these positions?
Probably somewhere around 15 to 20%. Probably 15% to be fair.
There needs to be at some point a discussion regarding the salaries for those key positions. We're talking about budget now, but it needs to happen because we have just about every department key position open and serious cost saving, like with having our own house engineers. And if it's something that we need to discuss, I know there are things that we want, but our human capital can't impress upon us enough how important that is for us to get these positions filled. So, Mr. City Manager, I know that this is your department as far as personnel goes. Ms. Flores, I know, is here. And our commission is here, and our department leaders that we have here. We have the issue, first of all, with retention and then compensation. And it's something, if we as a city at 100,000 are going to be successful at and land this talent, because the ROI on landing good talent is going to be, the payoff is going to be better in the end.
Excuse me, 1 minute. Do you guys smell the fire or something burning?
Something electrical smelling?
I apologize, Commissioner Merkel.
It's okay.
Nobody tell the fire department.
Smells like electrical. It smells electrical.
No, it's my brain going.
Electrical?
Did they just who turned the heater on?
It's the heater. It's the heater?
Dust and heater system.
Are you trying to distract us?
All right. It's the heater.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
So, thank you. With that being said, I want that as we move through this budgetary process, we need to understand what that looks like. And the same thing with issues with what other pay scales in other sectors, we need to discuss compression also. We have long-term employees. We've had, not controversy, but we've had, I think, misunderstandings, not complete understandings about what we've had to do for salary to retain some staff that we have and promote people. And we really need to take a look at that through this budget cycle because we need to attract and keep these positions. So, Mr. City Manager, that is high on my priority list, especially with the commerce that we're trying to bring into town, especially with the, I understand that engineers from the private sector are fine, but I want someone in here in these departments that understand where we're going and how we're trying to get there long term. I don't want somebody to come in and do a project and then be gone. We're investing in growth long term, and I just really, that's at the top of my list for that salary. I know that we did a salary survey, but I would really want to understand that because I understand that that is the barrier for hiring.
As Commissioner, I believe the salary survey was done a number of years ago. I think the HR director talked about that the other night a little bit, and her and I met for a while this morning of a discussion of, as we look at having a major rate study done this next year in detail as requested by the Commission, some of these positions that we're hiring now, we may not be able to wait for the rate study and jump out of the box that we've been in for the last number of years to try to move forward because we are competing against neighboring towns just for local talent, let alone people from a distance away that we may want to also attract. So we were major discussion about that today and definitely moving forward because I think we're on the short end of the stick right now, and that's not going to be best for long term for talent, for best decisions made at the administrative level, for not only attracting new money but also saving money where we are now. So we definitely understand what you're saying.
Exactly, and I 100% believe that the ROI warrants doing that as far as it comes to growing and protecting our human capital, you
I just
know.
want to make sure that study that we're talking about, and I made comments about it the other day as well, it doesn't just look at rates, but it also looks at making sure that the people are getting paid for the job title that they are doing, not for the job title that they are in. Because I am fairly confident that we have staff that is doing significantly more than just the job title that they are in. So we want to make sure that we invest in staff and pay them for the work that they're doing. So.
Thank you for finishing that for me, Commissioner. I appreciate it. I'm done, Mayor.
Good. Vice Mayor Jody Lee.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm glad everybody just hit on the topics about pay and all this other stuff, because that's one of the things I want to talk about. These city engineer spots that are vacant, how long have they been vacant?
Well, the assistant city engineer has been vacant since toward the end of 2022 or the beginning of 23. We hired a city engineer in 22 or early 23. He came in and stayed about 6 months, so he left in the middle, around the middle of 23.
We just had some engineers, though, quit recently, haven't we? Not too long. I mean, there was some people that did public works there were some people that left. Most places, I look at most of the departments in the city, people leave because of disciplinary problems. I noticed there's different sections over in this part where people are quitting and putting in letter resignation and stuff like that. Is there a specific thing that is making people over there quit? I mean, HR, she might be able to answer it, because I know she gets exit interview letters from people that, I'm just wondering if there's a common denominator why people over there are quitting and resigning these positions.
Sorry, sir. It's all through the city that we're having employees leave. If you remember, back when I came over here, we had a planning director that left. We had a HR director that left. We had, recently we've had a finance director leave. And it's not only directors, there's other positions within the city. But in the engineering, there was a young man, and I don't know if that's who you're referring to or not. There was some I'd rather not go into it, but there were some issues with that person. So.
Right. I know I've read some exit interviews from people that have left, and they're pretty scathing. So on that, also, I know we were just talking about the pay too. Right before Doc took over, there was I think 11 pay raises pushed for one department. Is this helping keeping people there? I mean, the people that got promotions and pay raises, were they budgeted and justified? Did they go through HR to see if they were justified before they were all given out?
The paperwork did go through HR, yes. And the ones that got raises, as far as I know, for right now, they're still here.
Okay, were they all justified pay raises, pay increases, with their history of work and time in service and their promotion status they received? They were all justified through HR?
Yes. And it was also not only that, but people stepping up and doing more than what their actual job calls for.
Well, when they're shorthanded, you have to. And I know those were 11 pay raises that were pushed through right before. Were they budgeted for the pay raises for this year?
No, we had a shortage in personnel as it was, so it came out of the personnel budget. That didn't cause us to go over budget in the personnel side and wages.
And now I believe there's 5 or 6 pay raises that are trying to get pushed through for people that are there now. Are those budgeted and justified? Because they're not counting 11. There's, I think, 5 or 6 more. So it's a total of 17 for just one section of this entire city. So I'm just kind of curious if that's justified. Huh? If it's justified, you're right, but thanks for interrupting me.
Yeah, anything that I sign off on is justified.
Okay. And I know I just want to make sure we're using our best talent, because I know there's different people that work in different departments that are, I guess, under your purview with the water department and different things, that have been here for many years, have the experience. They have so much knowledge about what goes on in this city, different things that have taken place in the city, and I know they haven't got pay raises except for the justified pay rate that we give as the commission gives across the board. But they've been passed up for promotions, and they've been passed up for pay raises. I'm just trying to figure out how some select get all this, but there's people that have been here, because that's what causes turnover. When you've been here for, say, 18 years, and you see someone that's been here for 10, they get a promotion and pay raise, but you got one person that knows every dark little secret about this city, and they get passed up. I'm just trying to justify it all. I don't want to make sure everybody gets treated fairly across the board. That's all. Thank you.
Commissioner McCool?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I get that, Vice Mayor, but, and I applaud your looking out for all the employees, but part of the problem is us putting our nose into employee business, and that is the business of the city manager. And I hope that with the advent of the city manager coming in, that is taken off of our plate, because we've had to hear people. People come to us when there are problems. I understand that. I understand the position that you're in. But it puts us in a crappy position as commissioners to go fight the fights that HR and city manager, and it's an unenviable position. I understand why we do what we do, but it puts us in a bad position to have to do what you have been called upon or asked or tasked to do as far as employees go. You know what I mean? So I feel that's not my position. If an employee is being treated unfairly, that's HR now, not us. So, thank you.
Mayor,
Vice Mayor?
Mayor, just so you know, that was because they bumped the heat to, or I should say the temperature to 72, which caused the heat to come on to cool down the chamber, so that's all it
It
was.
was in the hot seat over there?
No.
Got it. Vice Mayor Jody Lee?
Thank you. Commissioner McCool, you're right. I agree with you about this. And I'm not going to just keep going back and forth. But I already know this is where it gets to be a problem. When people, I understand we have HR, but I already know for 2,000,000% fact that employees have been told if they try to go outside their direct food chain, they'll get in trouble. I've had people, I know, and I've heard it, I've actually heard the recordings where employees were told by their department heads, if you go to that person, you will be fired. I know people have been said, if you go, he mentioned he has an open door policy. I already know it's been said, you will not.
We're getting off the subject here.
Excuse me.
Point of order. We're getting off the subject here.
Well, I know, but I'm.
So there is a point in order by Commissioner Avila Vasquez, and she has a valid point. We're kind of.
Okay, that's
deviating a
good.
little bit.
I'll talk to the city manager about it later.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Jody Lee. Thank you, Commissioner Avila Vasquez. Is there any other questions? Glenn, did you want to say something else? I saw you push the button.
No, I reserve my comments.
All right.
Sorry.
All right, we're going to go ahead and move forward to transportation.
I'm going to switch off here and let Phyllis do transportation, if that's okay.
Phyllis Wallace, Public Works, for the record. For all transparency.
Ms. Wallace, I don't want to pick on you. Can you just lower it just a little bit? I'm so sorry. I promise I'm not. I mean, do you feel more comfortable with that or with the mic? That? Okay, yeah.
In all transparency, there, it was, now it's on, sorry. So in all transparency, this section of transportation has always been handled by Planning and Development Services. So with the loss of your Director of Planning and Development Services, the loss of your Deputy Director of Planning and Development Services, the loss of your Planning Manager, this presentation is not what it would normally be. So I just want to be very clear with that because we have not had the staff in which to be able to follow up with this. What I will tell you, sorry, excuse me. The goal is to oversee the streets and roadways and ensure safe transportation throughout the city, and we utilize different resources that might be available to us, the TPO, LAP projects, other funding sources. We also identify any shortcomings in ADA. We are currently evaluating all of our intersections for ADA compliance so that we stay compliant with the requirement to be LAP certified or at least qualify for LAP projects. We are working currently now on the Providence Trail, which is an FDOT-funded LAP project, and that will be widening of or improving the sidewalk from basically the intersection of Doyle Road and all the way up to Anderson for an 8-foot to a 10-foot wide sidewalk and trail connectivity. We also work on the milling and resurfacing. Some of the funding that we get comes from the, I apologize, from the gas tax, Our milling and resurfacing is a limited dollar amount based on that, and the cost of milling and resurfacing is roughly $100,000 per mile for milling and resurfacing. Then add on to that any of the roadways that have significant extensions of thermoplastics, such as Cortland Boulevard, Providence, that we just don't have a crosswalk that needs to be thermoplastic for a crosswalk. That then is an additional, probably another $50,000 per mile. Some of the goals that we have is to continue to work with our partners regarding the Rhode Island extension, which we don't know where that's going. We've been working on this for many years. If the DOT and the county and our other partners in the area don't come together to have this happen, we're kind of at a standstill. However, we were very successful with the I-4 Industrial Park, which is across from the from the existing Amazon site. As part of their request to the city to vacate right-of-ways in an old platted subdivision that they had, they granted to the city 80 feet of right-of-way for that section of Rhode Island that would go from the east side of North Normandy as far as it goes on their business side. So we're making headway with that. We're also working with the southern property owner as he assimilates property for that development to the south. He's also committed that if we vacate the right-of-ways in those old platted subdivisions that he's acquiring, he's going to dedicate to the city an additional 70 to 80 feet. So we're working on things. It is just a slow process. We've got to get back fully staffed, both in planning and development services and in engineering, so that we can be a better partner with the TPO, with a representative on the commission that represents the city, and a partner with every of the other players that are out there. And the budget has not changed significantly. Oops, sorry.
Deltona this year, $9,700, so we're only second to Palm Coast and Volusia unincorporated for that. Also, I was informed this morning, county is going to be reaching out to Deltona about some improvements in our activity area here, as well as the city of DeLand and Orange City regarding the activity areas. So they'll be reaching out to you, Phyllis, also regarding that, and set aside money for the SIS, which is a strategic intermodal system, because it's on TPO's top priority list. It was for this year and for next year. So talking about setting aside for those projects as we move forward, budgeting for our grant match and things like that, because I know that this year, some of the projects that were coming forward, we waited on projects actually, because we had a new city manager coming in and we were finishing up projects. So as it affects us budget-wise with that, we should see that actually in this planning session, correct, Phyllis?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So I just wanted to bring that up from the TPO. There's some other stuff, but I'll do that under special reports at regular commission meeting. Thank you.
Before we go to Commissioner Harriet, Commissioner Villa-Vasquez, I apologize, I skipped you. Did you have any questions?
I'm good, thank you.
Commissioner Harriet, please go ahead.
I just have a real quick question. You mentioned ADA compliance. Does the city have a designated ADA compliance coordinator?
Yes, we do.
Okay. That's all. Thank you.
Okay, no other questions. We're going to go ahead and go to stormwater.
Can't function without these because I'm getting old. Okay, what we have in front of us now is a presentation on stormwater. The departmental function for stormwater. The Public Works Department Stormwater Division provides ongoing stormwater system construction, roadside surface drainage network maintenance, removal of obstructions and vegetation from open ditches, cleaning of the underground drainage storm sewer network, and provides responsive emergency stormwater services. As you well know, during the hurricanes last year, or 2022, I'm already losing track of time, but in 2022, we had Hurricane Ian and Nicole, and our stormwater department, along with all the other departments, were running like crazy, trying to take care of things and trying to keep things from flooding the best that we could. I think they did a really good job with what we had. So the mission statement for stormwater is to support and enhance a high quality of life for the city's residents, businesses, and visitors by providing a well-balanced, environmentally sensitive, cost-effective infrastructure and services to promote public health, personal safety, transportation, economic growth, and civic vitality. And also, we have to ensure full compliance with the Clean Water Act. And an example of that is we had an inspection, and I believe Doc mentioned that in the last commission meeting for the MS4 permit. DEP came in and did a very thorough inspection, and we ended up making out very well on that inspection. So I'd like to thank the Public Works Stormwater Division for all that they did. And it's also a joint effort, not only stormwater, but other departments too, Public Works, Deltona Water, other departments within City Hall even, code compliance, building, and everyone. So, and then another thing is to educate the public on stormwater pollution prevention, solutions, and techniques to protect the streams, ponds, and lakes. Some of the accomplishments from 23-24 were in-house capital improvements that we did, replacing some of the pipe, some of the smaller projects that we could do. Also worked with the CDBG funds that we were provided, around $300,000 to do drainage improvement projects in eligible areas, which would include some sock pipe replacements and those type of things. We worked with they worked with regulatory agencies to clear backlog projects, and that was actually stuff to do like with the MS4 permit. DEP is short staffed, so it's hard for them to get out and get inspections done and get all the reports back. So we kind of helped with all that stuff to speed it up for them. It wasn't really backlog on our end. Complete some of the permitting. We did some permitting on, I believe it was Clear Lake Pump Station, and there was one more, and it slips my mind right this second. I apologize. Fort Smith Pump Station, to be able to get permitted to continue on with those projects. And then we work with they were working with when I say we as in the department, not me, they did it. Work with the engineering consultant on the new stormwater master plan. And then goals for 24-25 Continue with the CDBG funded projects, get more money and get some of the in-house stuff that we can do. Some of those things that those folks do would cost us way more to go out to, to bid to have a contractor to come in. So some of these things we do locally in-house. It's tough with the amount of staff that we have, but they can get some of these things done, and they have been able to do that. Then another goal is to initiate construction of completed design stormwater improvement projects, which would be the Fort Smith pump station, and then initiate sidewalk edging maintenance, some more of that. They do that now, but we would like to see a little bit more done. And then the organizational chart, vacant positions, we have that was changed. It's not equipment operator shortage now, it is a stormwater tech. And then reclass stormwater supervisor to stormwater superintendent, and then public works tech to stormwater maintenance tech. Some additional goals, continue with in-house capital improvement projects, which we just talked about. I must have went the wrong way, sorry. So then if we look down at the budget, operating personnel has increased slightly. The budget itself, the operating budget, $235,000, and some of that stuff is due to increase in costs for concrete again, road-based type things, sod, landscaping. When I say landscaping, we have a company that comes in, Brightview, I believe is the name of it, and they do these big ponds for us and stuff like that. So there's an increase with those things because we keep having to add things to it to try to keep everything kind of cut down and looking proper and trying to get we also, this is a good time I think to bring this up. We also have a contractor that they bring a Menzie muck in and they do some cleaning of some canals and stuff. And, next year we have in the budget in the 5-year capital plan to get a new Menzie so we can do it ourselves. We used to do it ourselves. It was cut out of the budget a couple years ago, maybe 3 years ago now. And that's something that I think we can save a lot of money on because we're spending we could probably get our return on investment in about 2 years with that new piece of equipment. So that's something that we'll be bringing forward next year, to get that. Capital request for 24-25, sandbag machine. We get out there and we fill these sandbags when we have storms coming, along with, we have volunteers that come out. And I know I talked to Commissioner McCool several times during the hurricanes. We spent a lot of time up here, and we talked about getting help for the sandbags. We can fill those sandbags a whole lot quicker and have them ready to go, The next thing is emergency portable pumps, 4 new ones at $300,000. Emergency stormwater pumps, replacing equipment number 1105 and 1106. Those things were from 2011. The first 2 numbers indicate the year that the equipment was purchased. John Deere Gator, two of those. A plate compactor and a jumping jack. 2 replacement trailers, 0832 and 0814 for $30,000. Replacement of John Deere side discharge mower. This John Deere rear discharge mower. New computers for the Department for Stormwater. And then some of the projects, Tulsa Drive, Dorchester Drive drainage retention, which $22,000, which that will be done in-house. 349 Diamond Street drainage improvements, which that would be done in-house, and all the 3041 Millstone would be done in-house. Fay Court drainage improvements at $45,000, but then the last 2 Eastbrook drainage improvements for the $1.5 million, and then the Lake Windsor emergency force main relocation for $1.5. Those would be obviously contracted out, permitted and contracted out design. Yeah, and that's it. I have a little bit shorter list on the stormwater, litter, and mowing, and I had mentioned that a little bit earlier. 523406, and you're wondering probably what that acronym means, but it's Volusia County Mosquito Control Spraying, went from 25 to 30,000. When we have a special event, like we got the 4th of July coming up, we end up spraying, having the county spray that, to try to keep the mosquitoes down in that. And then it goes by what, they check the chickens and they see what mosquitoes, what kind of issues we got going on. So they base some of the other spraying on that. Also, they base some of the other spraying on that, along with some of the stuff that we call in. Postage from 1,000 to 15,000, that's to mail out the ad valorem stormwater fees notification. Utility services, 89,000 to 98, about $9,000 increase. That's for the stormwater pump stations, the electrical use and the panels. As you know, back in '22, we had to run those stormwater pump stations quite a bit. So we budgeted for that. We hope we don't have any storms coming in. We hope we're going to be okay, but they're predicting a kind of a hectic hurricane season or storm season. 524402 rentals from 5,000 to 25,000. That's pump rentals. So if we have a storm, we can rent some additional pumps. We also went to a meeting today with the county. Volusia County, all the other West Volusia and actually East Side counties or cities were represented there, and we were talking about web EOC with EOC. If we have a storm coming and it's within so far out, we can go on and request some additional pumps and equipment generators and all that kind of stuff. So we're working on getting signed up for that particular program so that we can do that. Even though you do that, it doesn't guarantee that you're going to get one, but we're going to try. I know when we had the other hurricanes, we talked to one of the state representatives and, gave him a list of things we needed. But this is a whole new thing. The county is assuring us they will help push to get the equipment. Along with that meeting today, we did discuss, and I'm sorry I'm getting off the topic a little bit, but we did discuss, help interlocal. Not really interlocal agreements per se, but help. So like if the ones that were at the West Volusia Summit, we talked about, we had Public Works there from the county, and we had other people there, and DeBerry had a problem with a pump station, and they had a blown fuse or a breaker was bad. The county got that breaker and went and took it to them and installed it, just as a help. So if we need something from the county, we can get it from them too. We've been assured of that. So, and I have the contact name of the Public Works Director and everything. So, R&M equipment, 123 going up to 130. That's repairs to the mowers, the pumps and the pump stations, the stormwater pump stations, our portable pumps, all those type of things. So it went up about 7,000. 524607, R&M infrastructure. That's for pipes, parts, fittings, and all those things for stormwater. We're always, we have issues that we have something cave in, a culvert or something, and we go and fix it and take care of it. 524999, that's a good one. The acronym is NAVA, NAVA. So I'm thinking, what is that? After I looked into it, what it is the fee that Volusia County charges us to administer the non-ad valorem assessment for stormwater. So I just thought that was interesting, is why I stuck it in there. Fuel and oil also going up, but that's also to cover if we have a storm, to cover for the emergency diesel bypass pumps. 5213 landscape, 75 going up to 85, 10,000. That's for sod. A lot of times we go out and we may have to reshape a swell or put some sod in somewhere after we reshape the swell. Why are y'all looking at me?
Because I said, don't come to my house.
But it's also, for repairs, if we have to repair a pipe, tear up sod, and put everything back, we need to put it back where that water will drain down that swell. That's the whole purpose. Training, 4,200 to 6,500. And in stormwater, there's certifications. It's kind of like a license for operating water and wastewater plants, except it's a certification. So you go take a class, you take a test at the end of that class, and you get certified. And then along with that, there's MOT training that you have to do and the other trainings that I had mentioned earlier. And then the last one I'll talk about is 640-500. That's capital improvements, basically one-time expense for equipment. That is the thing that we talked about earlier about replacing 2 of the stormwater pumps and adding 4 new stormwater pumps. And all that was in the presentation. And the sandbag machine, mowers, gators, trailer replacements, and all that comes in there. And that's pretty much all I have.
Thank you. Commissioner Villa-Vasquez, do you have any questions?
Yes, I do. I don't know if this is in the area that Glenn was discussing, but Glenn, I noticed that on some of the roads, especially Merrimack, Lombardy, Normandy, and Providence area, Tivoli, on the right-of-way, they get flooded. I know on Lombardy, it seems like the drainage area is covered with grass or dirt or trees growing out of it. Are there any plans to go around and take a look at these right-of-ways, especially in the areas that we know the right-of-ways get flooded into people's garage? And we can look into it to see if there's any way they can be cleared out or cleaned out or maybe notify the residents.
Yes, we make a habit of going around and looking at areas like that, but I'll have Phyllis take a note of that particular area, and we'll make that a priority and go take a look at it.
Thank you.
Commissioner McCool and Commissioner Harriet.
Thank you. Glenn, when we are talking about I want to talk about the stormwater assessment fee for a moment. Do we have, I know that last year when we failed to pass the stormwater assessment, what was the total capital that was projects that were going to be satisfied by the stormwater assessment? 6.2?
I believe it was a little more than that. I'll need to look at that and get back with you on that one.
Okay, that's fine, but we do have projects already ready to go, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
That have been engineered?
Yes, ma'am.
That are ready to go, save for the capital to do it, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you know what the total of that is?
I can get it to you. And the other thing is, other projects, we're going through that Lake Teresa Basin study. Now, there's 4 basins in Deltona. There's Lake Galeason, there's Providence, there's McGarry, and there's Teresa. So we talk about the Lake Teresa Basin, to try to alleviate that, but we also have to look at those other 3 basins. So, yes, we have some projects that we need to do, but some of it's going to start out, you can't get the old way of doing things. You have to get a permit determination.
Yep.
So there's a lot of stuff that we have to get engineered, designed, and permitted. So some of the other projects that we're looking at, we will have to start out with that avenue, to do all that.
Do we have needs already well established that were in the capital improvement project for stormwater that we weren't able to do because of the lack of funds, but we will be able to do with this assessment, right? I mean,
Yes.
They're ready to go.
Absolutely.
Okay, all right, cool. Also, do we have a community, and I'm asking for budgetary reasons, do we have a software or community reporting system? And what I say by that is the last time I did an informal, hey, what areas, when the last storms were coming up, and I mean rainstorms, not hurricanes, but I asked, are there areas that you're concerned about? And the system that we used was people reported on social media. I got back to you guys, and you guys went out and addressed that. Is there a more streamlined, more measurable way to do that in our software reporting system or a system that you have chosen to be able to do that. And not only to report the problem, but to report the resolution, because people, oh yeah, we tell all the time that there's this to be done, but it never gets done. Well, I want to make sure that it's reported, that we create the expectation, and then it's done. Do we have that reporting per se?
As far as I know, we have a reporting system. I'm not real super familiar with it, but I will follow up with that and see what we need to do there.
Right, because the reason I'm asking is that I understand the org chart when it comes, but a lot of feedback that I've been getting is about customer service, right? And what I mean by that is not that it's not getting done, but people they don't understand the platform in which to report it, right? So they end up calling a commissioner, right? Some people don't know that they do, and that's fine, but what I'm saying is having some way for somebody to report online, hey, this swale is overgrown, or this retention pond looks clogged, or this culvert looks clogged, right? It's put in, it's quantified, identified as an issue, and then you guys fix it, because you go right out and fix the things, but then a way for you to report it and say this has been resolved. You know, it takes the amount of automation needed to take a lot off of a lot of people's shoulders is minuscule. So I want to know if you have that, if you have it budgeted, if you have a position budgeted for that, how we can help as commissioners to make sure your budget accommodates that, because it's a win-win for both. So do we have that in our system, in our public works system?
We have and Phyllis, if you want to, you got a mic over there. We do, you know, when residents, and I know what you're talking about, it's totally different from what I'm fixing to say, but I know that we have an admin person there, Jennifer, that answers the phone, and she enters the work orders usually as she's speaking, she's sitting there typing. And then she goes in and does a resolution to it. More times than not, either one of the supervisors or Jennifer will call a customer back, you know, and say, you know, whatever we took care of it or whatever. But I'll let Phyllis speak to the other part.
I believe it was Robert that mentioned the other night the Tyler 311 system. We are listed in there. We need to revisit that on making sure that it is being utilized to its maximum potential for stormwater, and if it's not, then how do we make it better? But as Glenn said, we post phone numbers out there and we take calls, and we're out in the field to inspect stuff, because sometimes something will be reported and we need to get eyes on it, because we need to see exactly what's happening and talk to the resident. And then we do follow up. We are very prompt about following up with people, but to have something that is much more automated, where we can say you can go back to the Tyler 311 and have that information, that certainly would alleviate a lot of staff time to do other things.
I mean, my point exactly, right? Automation can do a lot of things that doesn't necessarily send you out. And that's all I want. I want a way that's budgeted for you guys this year that gets us kind of up to date to where we need to be as far as reporting, solving, and then reporting back. Close that loop in it, you know. So thank you for that information, and I'll pass that on. Last thing I have for all departments, and I know that the policy might have been changed a few years ago, but for our workers who are out in the elements, have we provided them with uniforms, not only OSHA, right, but that addresses the needs of the sweltering heat that they work in? Do we have allotted to them enough in the budget where I know that wicking shirts, you know what I mean, sweat wicking costs more. I know that also when John Peters was here, I talked to him, and I think that it was implemented about being budgeted for 2 pairs of boots for our workers, because I ran into a group of workers one day, guys had their toes taped up, and they said we get 1 pair of boots. This was a few years back. So I just want to make sure that we are budgeting for you guys and telling you guys that this is important to me, right? I know that we take care of our workers, but I'm making sure that you have budgeted enough in the uniforms that they're getting climate appropriate stuff.
Yes, ma'am. And also, if someone has some boots that are wore out, we don't want them working unsafely.
Yeah.
So they can come to us and say, you know, if their supervisors should be able to see it too, but they go to the supervisor and say, you know, my boots are worn out, you know, I got duct tape or baling wire around them. I know back in the day when I used to do that type of work, duct tape and baling wire. I know it sounds silly, but no, if they come to us, say we need new boots, we'll get the boots.
And I want to make sure that, for budgetary reasons, that you are provided with the power to do that. I don't ever want a worker being exposed, not only for us, but for them. I want them to be comfortable. I want them to be cool. So if you have all of that material to address that, I'm fine. That's all I have. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Commissioner Harriet?
You get a farm with duct tape and baling wire. Along those same lines with the work order system, I love the idea of automation. I just want to make sure that we're not giving an unreasonable expectation that somebody's going to receive a personal phone call back after they've called in something and it's been fixed. That quite literally doubles the amount of staff time required to address issues. And while I'm all for communication with residents, I think that if we're going to look at a new system, then we need to look at a new system that can address the problem from A to Z. That being said, I've got a couple questions that I've on the rest of the budget. The sandbag machine that's in here for $60,000, has staff actually had the opportunity to go and put their hands on and use that, not just view a demo?
No, we just had a demo.
I think it would be very advantageous from somebody that has experience with this kind of thing, that's been to a lot of trade shows and expos. There's a wide variety of sandbag machines. There's a wide variety of sandbag apparatuses. And sometimes this sandbag machine isn't exactly what fits best into the operation. So I'm very supportive of the need. We need it as the representative District 1 that received probably the most flooding, that was personally impacted by flooding. If we need two of them, let's get it. It's cheaper to do this and protect homes than it is to, fix homes. But I just want to make sure that staff is going to get a machine or a piece of equipment that they're going to use.
Yes, sir. We've done some research. We're also going to do some more research. We did see a demo, and we will get the best. But that money that's budgeted is for two of them. It's not just one.
Perfect.
And a lot of those hook right to the front of. You can have a skid steer, and it can hook to the front of the skid steer. And I'm telling you what, you can fill them bags in no time at all.
Oh, you can fill a bunch of them in no time flat. I would also recommend suggest that we reach out to partner agencies, Volusia County, any of the cities nearby, heaven forbid, other counties nearby, and see what they have and see if we can't go and put hands on them and touch them and use them first. Moving along to other questions, the new replacement computers for $4,000. Is that by any chance duplicated in IT's budget? Didn't they have a bunch of computers noted in their budget?
I need to follow up with that because I was kind of thinking the same thing going through this today. That's a good possibility, and I will check into that and let you know.
Just want to flush that out. And then from conversations, I don't remember if they were with you or with Phyllis, is there a purchase for a new Menzie muck truck in here?
No, it's in the following year. I talked about that a while ago. That's in the next year's, not 24, 25. It's 25, 26.
My understanding is that we don't have that vehicle.
You're correct.
So would it be cost beneficial for us to move that purchase up so that we're not spending more on contractors than it would cost us to purchase the piece of equipment?
He gave me the hand to go ahead and say. Because I haven't discussed this with Doc, even though when he first came, we did talk about a Menzie a little bit. But yes,
badass little machines.
I think, I'm being honest with you, for what we're paying to have them go out, it's not only them doing that. I mean, we're taking other pieces of equipment like an Abbey mower, trying to go down in those sections and mow, and it's not really the best thing to use. Where with that Menzie, we had this in a city manager report a couple of reports ago, and it might even be in this one, I'm not sure. and it's like a spider. I mean, it
Yep.
can go around anywhere and do a lot of things. And they've also now, in the manufacturing of them, they've done away with the rotary cutter. Now it's a different type of grinder cutter where you can take
Flail.
and put it over top of something and grind it. So it's not as much danger of throwing things out. In the past, there had been danger of, of those things, but that's been rectified with the new version of the Menzie. But I think it would be, in my
A lot.
personal opinion, I think it would be beneficial.
Do we know what the cost is on one of those ballpark?
It's about $600,000, between $500,000 and $600,000, depending on what you get.
Just so that everybody knows, those little things are awesome. You can control each basically leg independently, and they can clean out some ditches. Do we have a current stormwater master plan? Or do we have a stormwater master plan?
Yes, we do.
How old is it?
I think the last one, it was updated in 2019 or 2020, in that time frame.
Would it be advantageous for us, along with the Teresa Basin study and all of the other flooding problems going along with the other 3 basins, to update that master plan?
Yeah, and some of the stuff coming out of this study will do that. Yes, absolutely. And we have some of the projects that were identified in that master plan. There are some of the projects that we have on slate to
Would it be advantageous for us to update that stormwater master plan in conjunction with the Teresa Basin study?
Yes.
Can we look at putting that in the budget, whether it be this year or shortly after? I want to prevent any holdups when we get the Teresa Basin study back in a year. I want to make sure that we are ready to go to start shoveling projects. I want to prevent any holdups of additional studies or whatnot. You mentioned a lot of equipment that is planning on being used for emergencies. Do we have procedures in place for documenting all of our equipment usage during disasters? That way we can seek reimbursement for all of the equipment usage. That'll help offset some of the costs.
Absolutely.
Phenomenal. And then mentioned WebEOC and getting staff trained on WebEOC. That's fantastic. That's music to my ears. Do we also have our city staff that will be present in the county EOC so that we can relay those messages in urgency of needs a lot quicker?
It's funny you mentioned that, Commissioner. I thought about that today. We're going to have to find someone that can communicate and knows the line of communications back with the city, because it's not only stormwater, it's not only public works, it also could be fire, it also could be, you name it, anything out there. So we're going to have to look, and I was going to talk to Doc about that and kind of brief him on the meeting that we had over there today and some of the little things that we need to put somebody over there that has knowledge of the city and that, not just know people in the city, but have knowledge of where things are and who you call to get something done. Because, you get in the middle of a hurricane, you guys know, or ladies know, we've been here before. And just in our own organization, the county, that EOC, you've been over there, that EOC is huge, and there's a lot of noise going on in there. And so, yes, we need to appoint, I didn't mean to go a long way around, but yes, we're thinking about that.
Perfect. I'd like to, with all the concerns that you brought up, I'd like to recommend that we even talk with the county and see if we can't just maybe have 2 people over there, just because we do have such an issue with stormwater and multiple disciplines.
We do have 2 EOC stations over there. I was over there today, and they have 2 laptops. They have the whole thing set up. So yes, you could have 2, because when you've got a storm going on, somebody's going to be over here sleeping, and then you're going to need somebody to take their place. Nobody can stay up 24 hours. We tried that.
Good. Just one quick minute for Chief Snyder
Of
wants to
course.
say something.
Just real quick, we do have 2 representatives that go over and staff the EOC from the fire department. 2 of our fire inspectors go over there. But we probably do need to have some discussions about whether or not we need to have somebody with stormwater and all that other experience there as well. So, but there are 2 that go over there, and they stay the whole time. They work 2 different shifts. So.
I'd like to make sure that we're very clear that it's not just, I think we should make some direction that we should make sure all the disciplines within the city are represented so that we have somebody that can speak across the board.
And usually, Commissioner, the fire department can, because Chief has some very talented officers over there. I say officers in that position, in those positions, and we communicate with them quite frequently. The Chief and I are on I won't say an intimate basis, but we're on a really tight here in the EOC here, so we do communicate a lot.
I'm glad to hear that. You have a phenomenal team over at the fire department, and I have full confidence that they
And
can.
the way it does work is we all are in here in the EOC. If they have an issue or anybody has an issue, we get on the phone, call directly to that person that's in the EOC and relay whatever that information is, whether it's public works, stormwater, fire, whatever it is. So,
Absolutely.
you know, if we need to consider somebody with a little vaster knowledge, it could be the case, but the people that are in there do have direct access to relay whatever information that is passed up directly to the representatives. And we have Web EOC in here in the EOC, as well as the person, our people at the EOC have it as well. And they have direct contact with the county EOC officials as well.
Excellent, thank you. Chief, I'm just going to sum up since you weren't speaking into the microphone.
Commissioner Harriet, Vice Mayor is calling a point of order. We're kind of stranding out of the budgetary situation.
Oh, we're talking about the budget. It was all stuff discussed by the director in the budget. But I'm going to reiterate what the chief had just said, is that there's staff at the county EOC, there's staff at the city EOC, and they're there to communicate back and forth the needs of the city to the county. Does that sum it up?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. And then the last item that was mentioned was an agreement between, an interlocal agreement of a sorts between the local cities, our sister cities here in the southwest Volusia County. I'd also just like to throw out there, find out if we are part of the state mutual aid agreement, SMAA, and if that could serve the same purpose.
I'm going to ask the Chief to come back and speak on the fire department side of things.
I'm sorry, I heard state mutual aid agreement. I do have that on the agenda for the next agenda. The state mutual aid agreement needs to be updated.
Perfect.
It's on the next agenda for Monday, and we need, if it's approved, which I'm not sure why it wouldn't be, but if it's approved, then we'll get that forwarded up to the state and taken care of.
Excellent. And then I've only got 2 questions for line items in this section. Does the revenue for stormwater reflect the proposed increase in stormwater fee? It does?
Yes.
And then the last question is, why is there a transfer from stormwater budgeted to the general fund?
Can we please use the microphone?
It's overhead cost. It's overhead cost.
Are those employees not dedicated to stormwater?
No, it's for HR, financial services,
Gotcha. Internal service charges.
internal service charges.
Fantastic. Thank you very much.
Vice Mayor Jody Lee.
Mine's an easy one, thank you, Mayor. That Minzy machine, do we have the money for that?
We don't have it in the budget for this year, for 24-25.
But for the amount of money we're spending for outside contractors to do this job,
Yeah.
Mr. City Manager, do we have the money to buy that machine?
I'm not aware of how much we're paying the contractor. That would make a difference in the answer to that
Well,
question.
I mean, if within
Yeah.
1 or 2 years, it pays for
Oh,
itself.
certainly, without a doubt.
So that means if we have it 3 or 4 years, now we made money off of having our own
Absolutely.
equipment. So if we have the machine, can we get it?
Absolutely. I am not shy at buying new equipment to
I mean,
do the job more
when it comes to
efficiently.
that kind of equipment, those machines are insane. So
Absolutely.
if we have the money, I'd say let's get it and stop giving money to outside contractors. We can do it ourselves. That's all. Thank you.
All right, we're going to go ahead and move to Deltona Water and Sewer.
Okay, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commission, what we have before us right now is the proposed budget for Deltona Water. Deltona Water is comprised of 7 divisions, and Deltona Water falls under the umbrella of Public Works. So you have administration, you have water plant operations, and the water plants, as you all know, I'm going to try to speed this up, sir, so that we don't run over, okay? We have water plants, we have the Fisher wastewater plant, we have the customer service and billing, which is over 255 Enterprise. We have the field ops division, we have Eastern wastewater plant, we have the RIB site, and we have lift stations. Lift station wise, we have somewhere in the proximity of 55 lift stations. The Water Utility Services Department is comprised of 8 divisions. I'm not going to go through all those. We just named all those off. But the administrative division oversees the overall operation of the department itself. Procurement of services and bid solicitations for the department are also handled under the administrative division. That's simply going out and getting prices, and all. If it's an actual master bid, it will go out over here to purchasing to do that. And then our staff inputs requisitions and all for purchase orders. The mission of the Deltona Water Department is to provide our customers with a safe, affordable, and sufficient supply of quality water and treated wastewater that is economically viable and environmentally sound. So some of the accomplishments, we've been working on the Plan 11 improvement and outfitting of the new wells. We ran into some issues with gopher tortoises. So we've just got that issue resolved. I'll look over here. They've removed them. I think they found 2 on site. So that's been resolved, so we can get back underway with that construction. And that will be putting pumps and motors in the wells, electrical panels, running the pipes to Plan 11 to service that area. Increase the amount of infrastructure replaced through renewal and replacement. We've done some stuff with manholes and sewer lines. We had put in for some state appropriations, just got vetoed, I think, by the big guy. And so we're kind of, we have money in the budget every year to do liners, rehab for collection system. We have money in the budget to do new water main replacements and that type of thing. We've been working on our SCADA system upgrade. It's been an ongoing thing. It takes quite a while. It develops better reliability through redundancy. We'll be able to go in and do things real time versus what we have now. We'll get them off the radios, and it'll all be on cell phone modems and fiber. As we get fiber throughout the city, we'll be hooking those in, and that's kind of what we've been doing. We've hooked, 4 or 5 in fiber already. The cameras in the water plants were completed. Lift stations currently being installed. We came to you earlier this year for a system to put in all 55 of the lift stations. It's separate than the water plants. Each thing is separate with the SCADA, the lift stations, the plants, and so on and so forth. We continued working with the West Volusia Water Supply Group to develop a water supply source strategy. We're still in progress with that. We have meetings pretty much every month between St. John's, and then like every other month we meet with the West Volusia Group itself. We're working on an upgrading billing and payment system to include e-billing and enhanced customer service experience. We should be getting that implemented by the middle of July. It's been a long time coming. The first company that we had secured, I'm not going to say it, because we're on camera, I'm not going to say it, but we switched to another company, and we are making progress. We're ready to start implementing. And I know that one of the commissioners had discussed with me about having a workshop with residents and all to show them how to use that system and help them get signed up on the system, so it makes it more efficient for us. Installation of new automated water meters, AMRs, to replace the customer meters, as well as new connections. All the new connections going in now, and the new subdivisions are getting the meters as we go along. And that process will continue for a while. We still have we've got about, I'm going to say approximately 22 or 23,000 meters replaced out of 35,000. So we got a ways to go, but we're diligently trying to get there. Once we get there, and I know Commissioner McCool will have a question on this, so once we get there, everything will be up on the towers. We just flip a switch, if you will. It's not really a switch, but there's a process you have to do. We'll do that and get them online, and then we'll be able to push a button at Enterprise and be able to take care of a lot of that stuff. And I'll tell you, it's really been a big difference already with the radio reads in the trucks. It's been a lot better. So next thing, I'm sorry, the Eastern wastewater expansion is almost completed. It started earlier, actually it started last year, and there were some equipment supply issues with blower and panels and things, but they got all that in and they're finishing up, and I'm thinking they're going to be done somewhere in the next 2 or 3 weeks. September 1, so okay, I'm off, but all right. Fisher, the process improvement there. The process was to change the process from contact stabilization to the MLE process, and I don't really need to go into that. It's just about nutrient removal. Keel Hall, the property next to the Eastern, the well that we were trying to get put in a production well outside the Blue Spring shed is being designed and permitted as we speak. We're going to continue to increase the amount of infrastructure throughout renewal and replacement. I just talked about the water mains and the collection system all ago. Again, I talked about the SCADA system, so we'll jump over that. Continue to evaluate a potential for shared effluent storage or disposal site with neighboring municipalities through that West Volusia group, seeking St. John's funding. Then again, we just talked about the meters that we're working on. We're continuing that. The Eastern, did I go backwards? I think I did. Okay. And the organizational chart is really busy here, but we have quite a few openings. I don't think it's listed on here. Nope. But we have such as plant operators, wastewater plant operators, field techs, customer service. I think customer service we're just about full there. I think we have 1 or 2 more. So we're working to get these positions filled and to make sure that we're more efficient. Going down to the second part of that slide for the budget overview, $909,000 increase in operating. We had for example, just some of the things, we had a 25% increase in chemicals in chlorine. That's just one of the things. If you think about it, let's say we were paying $1.25 a gallon, and we're now going to $1.65 a gallon. That's still cheaper than anywhere else we can get it. The next closest place in our area that's getting chlorine for a reasonable, I believe it's Ormond Beach, was the next closest. So we're constantly looking, and I'm grabbing the wrong stuff. Okay, meter costs, the new meters, we have some, that they're still under warranty right now, and those meters should last for 10 years. But we also got to have a stock of meters besides what we're installing in the ground to be able to replace meters and to do other things. As we get more services online, more subdivisions, I know that's a bad word right now, but as we get more things online, we're going to have to restock those meters. Right now we have enough to get through the 35,000 change outs that we're trying to do, but then we have to account for new meters too. So part of that is that. New meter boxes, they've gone up in cost. They're $48 a piece. And if you get the new lid, with the new lid, it's $53 a piece. So there's a difference there. So that's it. The road-based stuff, the repairs, piping has gone up, valves, anything you need to do in a distribution system. It's gone up tremendously in cost, as you all well know, for the supply chain. And I'm not going to go through each one of those line items. I'll let y'all, if you have questions, I'll answer those questions for you, because that'll take a while to go through all that. Let me make sure.
Commissioner Avila Vasquez, do you have any questions?
I don't, thank you.
Vice Mayor Jody Lee, then Commissioner Harriet.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Glenn, for all that. I mean, I like a lot of the stuff with the water. I'm enjoying that the new water meters are getting put in.
This is for field ops, distribution system type stuff, and then the other is for plants and lift stations. And also, if you have to replace a pump, motor unexpectedly, those are contingency for that.
I know that all this is a wish list, a lot of it, and a lot of it needs to be done. A lot of it needs to be done. I'm not arguing with you on that one. Is it still beneficial to us to keep putting Band-Aids on the Fisher plant?
We are in the process. We got a funding agreement with DEP, and we're in the process of getting ready to go out for an RFQ or an RFP. I don't remember the exact term, sorry. I'm not supposed to use that word, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And what we're doing is we're looking at, we got a preliminary design report done on Fisher, and we're going to be upgrading it to meet our nutrient removal and phosphorus removal.
Right, so, you said that, but I mean, is it still beneficial to us to keep putting money into that plant?
Yes.
Okay, that's...
Can I just say one quick thing?
Go ahead.
We need to control our destiny in Deltona, and if we don't do that, the Eastern has just been upgraded from 1 million gallons a day to 1.5. Fisher is at 1.4, but the treatment process itself is old and antiquated, so that's what we're trying to do is fix that so we don't have to send the sewer somewhere else.
That's what I was getting at.
And then, you know, if you do that, then you use or lose your reclaim ability and all those things, so.
Thank you. That's it, man. Good.
Commissioner Harriet, then Commissioner McCool.
Awesome. I appreciate the work that's being done on water meter replacements. I wish it could go faster, especially in District 1. But
can I explain that real fast?
Yes.
Without holding things up? The reason being is because it goes by billing book and billing cycle, and you can only do so many where they have to get done, get the readings in, get everything in. While they're doing that, they jump to another book. So they can't just go in one section of the city and complete it all at one time. It'd be great if we could, but it messes our billing up.
I understand. I'm glad that there's a process to it, and I'm glad that it's being coordinated with billing. I would greatly appreciate that explanation, actually. I'm also happy to hear that we're discussing and budgeting for the infrastructure to turn on those smart meters and make that information accessible to residents. Yeah, there's a lot to be said on that, but I'll leave it at that. A big sigh coming from the other side of the dais. I believe my only real other question is on the east side well, the Caheel test production well. What is the what will be the current capacity after that's permitted and designed?
We don't know until we start drilling it and
Okay.
do a test well first, and then we turn it into a production well.
I just want to make sure that we're not putting a well in that is going to max out at what our current needs are, that we're going to put a well in that can exceed our current needs today, because we know that, ugly word, development, but we know that it's coming down the pipe, and as much as we can curtail it, there's going to be additional needs in the future. So, thank you, Mayor.
Commissioner McCool.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm sighing because I'm old. That's it, I promise. Glenn, can you tell us the target date for budgetary reasons? Could you tell us the completion of when the water meters will be done so that we can expedite uploading, because we still have, people with questions regarding consumption and stuff like that?
Well, the meters themselves, right now, we can go and do a data log. We can pull the data from that meter and show them exactly when they were using water, when they weren't, the consumption history. It's an installation. We didn't want to jump the gun too much. Installation takes quite a while with 35,000 meters, but to cut this short, we're probably looking at another year, probably this time next year, to be completely done, have the towers up. We're going to be starting that soon, coming to you all, to start that agreement with the towers. And so if you put part of the people on the portal in the beginning, if we were to get the towers up right now and we put part of the people on the portal, the other part would be looking for it, and they would be not happy that they couldn't access their account. So we're trying to work everything in conjunction. We don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves.
Right. So let me ask you this. Is it the matter of the contractor having enough capacity to do it, or?
No, not really, because when we started this process, we knew it was going to take a long time. And then, of course, they, just like any other contractors and subs, they have personnel turnover. They'll get people to come and work in the area. When they started out, they hired local people, and now they're having to pull people from other areas of the state and country, for that matter, to be able to come in and do it. It's very tedious. It's very time-consuming.
Okay, that's all I wanted to know. Thank you.
Vice Mayor Jody Lee.
Sorry there, I got an easy one. Glenn, you got on here, there's a thing for storage sheds, 2 for $12,000. So you're going to get 2 sheds for 12 grand? Or 12,000 apiece?
Yes, they're nothing fancy necessarily.
Can you get with Parks and Recs? Because he had one shed there today for like 30,000, and he's only getting one. You're getting
I think
2.
he's talking about something a little more. Ours are going to be in the back, where it's not seen by the public. It'll be permitted, but it won't be seen by the public. If you have something here at City Hall, and I'm not trying to get into Mark's business, but if you have something here, you need something that's pleasing to the eye. You need to have something.
My point of it is, no offense to anybody, but the 12,000 for 2 sheds, those are cheap sheds. They're not going to last very long.
Yeah.
I would suggest that maybe go with something a little bit more substantial that's going to last longer and be more beneficial that you can use over years. Because that looks like one of them sheds you get out of the parking lot at Lowe's, and it's not going to last very long. That's all. That's my only point. I would say get a better permanent structure,
higher quality,
to protect our equipment than what's in here. That's all I was saying. Yes, I suggested spending more money.
So just to reiterate a question that Vice Mayor Jody had, we went to both treatment plants when Chisholm was still here, and one of them is like state of the art. We have people coming in from other cities to check it out, and it's extremely fancy, great. The Fisher plant, there are stairs. I'm a heavy guy that I would not walk on. I'll leave that there. So you're telling me that, because I know there was some suggestions of maybe getting rid of it and just building something new, or are you saying that that's not necessarily the case?
Some of the tankage will be new. It's going to be the same type of process that we have out of the Eastern to meet the new requirements. The nitrogen has to be less than, or 3 or less, those kind of things. It will have more equipment, more updated equipment in it. Some of the tankage will be removed and replaced. Some of the tankage that is there that is in good shape will still be used.
Now, and it relates to the same thing, but when I visited the Eastern plant, you could hardly smell anything until you walked on the top, right? Are we going to have any of that smell situation still with the Fisher plant?
It'll be a lot like the Eastern, because like I said, it's going to be outfitted with the same type of cartridges, the Kubota membranes.
Because that's a complaint I get a lot from residents, and if we're budgeting for this, I want to make sure that we're not continuing to have an issue with the smell in that area.
I can't guarantee you that you will never have one, because if you have a plant upset or something like that, but we're going to do, as we're going along in the design of this thing, to do everything we can to minimize that.
Commissioner Harriet?
I also wanted to talk about a conversation that I'd had, I believe, with Phyllis a couple days ago or a week or so ago about some inventory security needs, additional inventory needs out at one of the plants, or was that with the water department from an audit finding?
I think what you're referring to, and I hate to jump in here, but I think what you're referring to, and Phyllis, you may want to correct me if I'm wrong, because you had the conversation with the commissioner, but I think what we're talking about is having a warehouse, the warehouse that we have, converting that into an actual stock warehouse and having someone out there that will check shipments in and out that come in. We do that now, but they're not based down there. And we were looking at redoing the office that used to be that's down in that particular area. Is that what you're talking about?
That sounds about right. Is that budgeted in this budget?
I'll take a look and make sure.
Okay. That's all I've got.
All right, thank you, Len. We're going to go ahead and move to public comment while we still have time, because I want to make sure our public gets to put some input, and then we'll go to city manager after that.
Kathy Bryan.
Well, summer. Good evening, everybody. Kathy Bryan, Deltona. So this has been a little better than the last couple of years regarding budget, but I also realize that the situation we've been in for the last several months. But I want to suggest maybe you guys already know what the contentious ones are going to be, the ones that are going to take some time to discuss. Maybe do the ones you know are going to be kind of shorter first, and then set your other ones up as workshops from the get-go, so you have more time to discuss. I don't know when you guys got this information. I heard it was Monday, and maybe going forward, if you guys, if it was out before then, you'd have a little more time to review and kind of set up your questions, or maybe get some clarification before we get to this point. And I'm not fussing, I'm just saying, going forward, now that we've done all this, I want you to go back, tell each department to go back and say, what can you cut? I know there's a lot of needs, and people, we try to meet you a happy medium. There's a lot of stuff that needs to be done, but what's life safety versus aesthetics when it comes to maintenance, buildings, painting, and stuff like that? Does it have to be done this year? What has to be done this year? And what could wait a year? Do you guys ever think about going out when it comes to furniture and stuff like that and finding gently used material or otherwise office supplies, garage sales, whatever? Not that I know you guys don't have necessarily time for that, but try to think outside the box. You don't have to buy brand new for all this. And as for City Hall, if you build a new one, it's still going to need maintenance, right? So now you're going to be paying for the land plus the maintenance of the building. The other thing is to consider volunteers for some of this stuff. Water testing, I used to help the county, I used to volunteer to do that. You probably have high school students. I think you had to be over 16. So there's a lot of things you guys can.
Albert Bryan.
Tell her she feels better.
I've been quiet all week, sitting back and watching. I appreciate all the staff and everything they've done. I understand this is Doc's first time doing this here, but I've been doing this 9 years now with these budgets. I counted 111 items that's increasing 50% or more. Out of those, that's 4.8 items per page for 23 pages of the summary budget we got with all the increases. Now, what's funny about this to me is when I looked at just 100% or more, I got 58 total. That's more than one a page. Matter of fact, that's 2.5 per page. Now, out of that, we got 828%, 855%, 800, 650, 750, 1,285.7%, 23.98%. That's 2,389% increase. And yet, I didn't really hear any of the commissioners talk about any of these outrageous increases that we're seeing. Now, I understand that we had the most very transparent budget meeting we've ever seen last year. And whoever said that was full of BS. Now, that being said, this is a little bit better process, but when you shut down a complete meeting and you have to rush like y'all did tonight, that doesn't do anybody good, including us back here who don't have the inside mojo like y'all do. And to completely shut us out of this process is unforgivable.
Deborah Abel?
I'd like to know if the departments were asked to look at their budget and could they cut it back 10% and then justify for anything above that. On the replacement of the vehicles, how old are they? Could they be refurbished by either replacing the motors and that kind of stuff to extend it out further? I will tell you with the stormwater increase of 31%, I am not for that. You're asking $6.8 million from the residents every year. I don't know what the long-range plan is. It would be nice if the letter for the stormwater assessment would come out prior to Monday of this week to give residents time to look at it and review everything else on it. Personnel, I applaud you, Commissioner McCool, that they are our asset. And from the lowest paying position to try to keep these individuals here for long-term careers. I do know that some of them have left because of the pay. I also know, Jody, that other employees have also spoken out in the community that they are fearful to come to the City Hall to be able to be open and discuss freely on that. I am surprised that in a budget line that miscellaneous purchase of equipment for water plants, a capital thing, that should be how do you determine $125,000 each for water plants and the wastewater plants without further description. As far as, and please just give me just a few more minutes, if you're going to send somebody to the county EOC, I totally agree with Glenn that they should know all disciplines of this city because they play an important role up there and they should have authority to advise the city.
If it's okay with the commission, I'd like for her to finish her statement, please.
I'm okay with that.
Okay, can you please finish?
I bring experience from working at the county EOC. I know how very important it is to get information from the cities, what their needs are, what's going on, in a very timely manner. They have a lot of different assets up there, resources, other personnel, not only county, but from the state level and the federal level. And it's very important that that communication is given from the city to that person. That person has authority to say, this is what we need, or about the finances. And I would recommend that you train several different people to relieve those employees up there, because 24/7, back in through the 2004, when we did 45 days straight, it takes a toll on everybody. So please, listen to Glenn about somebody who knows the disciplines of this city so you can get the resources that you need or the equipment or whatever, take care of what the issue is during those emergencies. Thanks.
Thank you. We're going to go ahead. Does that close public comment, Ms. Rafferty? All right, city manager comments?
All right, thank you, Mayor. Just as a quick reminder from the first night, I had mentioned that this is more of a glimpse of going through the general idea of the budget. I'd like to speak with each of you in the next day or two to say when you may be available over the next couple of weeks to get together at City Hall individually, and which departments you'd like to meet with myself and the department head to go through the details again to see what kind of changes you may like to suggest, so that when we come back later, it's a more finalized, detailed budget for everyone to appreciate. So I'll be in contact over the next day. Thank you.
We also want to mention that there's not going to be a meeting tomorrow.
Yes, correct.
Okay. Meeting's adjourned.
before you guys all run out.